August 15th of 2022. Please rise while Hank Rosso, the Director of Midwest Bible Camp and also the Chaplain of the Watertown Fire Department, will lead us in prayer. Finance Officer Bob Zine, would you please call the roll?
Okay. Bueller.
Here.
Danforth.
Here.
Helene.
Here.
Paulson. Here. Shetty.
Here.
Tupper.
Here.
Billhauer.
Here.
Thank you.
Quorum is established. With that, the chair will entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Shetty, seconded by Councilman Tupper. Any conversation on that? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next up is the public comment section. If anyone is here who would like to speak to the City Council or the City of Watertown about something that is not on tonight's agenda, now is your time to do so. Seeing no one come forward, I'll close public comment section and take a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Motion made by Councilman Vilhauer, seconded by Councilman Bueller. Any conversation on that? Hearing none, motion is to approve the agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. The first item on tonight's regular agenda is an election for deputy mayor for the year 2022 to 2023. The chair will entertain names for nominations.
I will nominate Glenn Vilhauer.
You had to think about it. All right. A motion or a nomination for deputy mayor does not need to be seconded, but I do need to ask if there are any other nominations to be considered. Hearing no other nominations, the chair will entertain a motion for unanimous consent for the election of Glenn Vilhauer as deputy mayor. See, I paused too. Just. Okay. Motion made by Councilman Paulson. Need a second? Seconded by Councilman Tupper. Any conversation on that? Hearing none, the motion is to elect Councilman Vilhauer as deputy mayor for the year 2022 to 2023. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Councilman Vilhauer.
Just want to thank my colleagues for their support and look forward to serving this position this next year again.
Thank you very much. Yay. Item B is an approval of the borrower's resolution for the wastewater collection system and treatment facilities improvements project 2117. For more information, we have a special guest star tonight, and Justin Peterson, our city engineer, who is filling in for our public works director, Heath Von Eye. Justin?
Thank you, Mayor. This item and the next two items are all related to the wastewater collection system and treatment facilities improvements. Over the last few years, HR has done some studies with the wastewater collection system, and it just so happens that the ARPA funds became available, and the city was awarded $15.8 million in grants. This resolution, they were also awarded $19.8 million in loans at 2.125% for 30 years, and that's what this resolution authorized the city to enter into the loan agreement. With that, I'll stand by for questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the council? Councilman Danforth.
Mayor, we've got the next, 3 or 4 items that are on here, and I know we had a work session on this.
I can grant leniency to ask on the overall concept of the improvements.
Is Mike on? I see his picture. I'm not sure if he's on.
Mr. Berger, are you on? Or Director Berger,
Yes.
I should say. Director of our wastewater treatment facility. Superintendent, sorry.
Mayor, or you know, at your liberty here, maybe it would be good if we just took a minute, if you did, or Amanda, or Mike, or whomever, and just kind of give a description as to why we are doing these things at this time. We had that discussion at the work session. I think it's really good. It just seems like there's a lot here, but there's reasons why we're doing this now, and I think that would help the public.
I think that's a great idea, Councilman Danforth. Thank you for that. We did have a work session on that, but not as many people pay attention to the work sessions as to the council meetings, and justifiably so. But I'll leave that open for our city manager, Mack, and Superintendent Berger to fill us in and the public in more.
Thank you, Mayor. Mike, if you just want to give a rundown of the projects and kind of how they fit into our timeline, I think that would be appropriate.
Yes, thank you. Back in 2021, we went into an engineering evaluation of our wastewater treatment facility and sanitary sewer system. And we had a capacity model put together for our sewer system. And that capacity model, along with the engineering evaluation of the wastewater facility, was looking out over the next 20 years and identified areas where equipment needs to be either rehabilitated, replaced, or upgraded. And so we went from the front of the plant all the way through the plant, and then looked at the key points where we knew we had lift stations that were nearing their capacity. And those 2 studies really determined what work would need to be done. And that's what's before you tonight. We're looking at about 20 years worth of improvements to the wastewater treatment facility. The type of work at the plant will vary from a lot of the metal equipment's in a very corrosive environment here. So there is some significant coating projects. Well, some of these metal mechanisms that have been in service for decades will be sandblasted and then retreated with a coating to protect them so that the metal maintains its thickness, which extends the service area, the service life of that equipment. There are also some areas where we might be adding another tank, because looking at the 20-year projections for the population growth and what that does to the loadings to the facility, ensuring that we have proper capacity. And then, like I said, at the lift station, there are the lift stations. We have 48 of those, but a number of those are seeing that they're near capacity, and there is some growth in those areas. So those 2 evaluations is what's pulled together this rather large project.
Thank you very much. City Manager Mack, did you have anything to add?
I do not.
Thank you very much. Council, any further questions or comments on this? Councilman Villauer?
Thank you, Mayor. I asked this question at the work session last week. It might be worth repeating again. We're mentioning water. I know the utilities department also have some big projects planned for their water system. This is separate from that. We're not talking about what they're doing. This is totally what we're looking at on our end with the wastewater.
Councilman Tupper?
Donuts. Yeah, that couldn't have been worse timing, could it? Supervisor Mike Berger, part of this is through ARPA funds and part of it's through loans, correct? And then the loans will be paid off through enterprise funds, yeah, surcharge, okay. Then that was estimated at what, to increase? 755, but it got down to 4 something because something else is coming off, correct? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Chair made a mistake. Chair would like to take a motion to approve the borrower's resolution. Is there motion made by Councilman Villauer? Second by Councilman Bueller. Any further questions or comments, Council? All right, hearing none. The motion is to approve the borrower's resolution. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item C is an approval of Resolution 22-38 for a wastewater fee surcharge in relation to the wastewater collection system and treatment facilities improvements. For more information, we will go to our city engineer, Justin Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution that establishes the surcharge for user rates at $7.55 per user per month. But just one thing to note: we've had our consultant look at our financial obligations, and the actual user increase will likely be in the $4 range. But this resolution is something I believe it's mandatory by the DNAR.
Finance Officer Bob Zine, did you have something to add?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So one of the requirements is once we pass a borrower's resolution, we have to do the surcharge if it's necessary to cover the loan before us. So the $7.55 is the requirement to cover the $19 million. After reviewing some of our other loans that we have, one of the big ones we had was SRF loan number 9. I think that was Mike can help me out, but it was one of our big projects that we had. That one had over $1 million of principal forgiveness, and then we've paid that one down. And through some of our other changes, we refinanced that one. So that surcharge right now has about a $3.50 leeway. So what you'll see before the council in November is I'll be bringing forward a resolution for all the loans, and then you'll see the changes made at that point so that they're all covering their debt that they have to. So that's kind of why it looks so heavy, but that won't be the amount that the end user sees. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the resolution 22-38, made by Councilman Paulson, seconded by Councilman Tupper. Now open for comments or questions. Councilman Shetty?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. During the work session, we were fortunate to be able to see a graph that shows the usage, the dollar amount that's charged per user, and it was good to see, encouraging to see that the way our plant has been run over the years and decades, we are actually on probably the lower half of the spectrum on user fees for each individual homeowner or landowner for those types of services. So anyway, I just wanted to just put that out. Oh yeah, there we go. There's a graph right there. So I just want to appreciate our all those involved to keep our rates at that, plus still have a well-run facility, because it takes dollars to keep these facilities running and up to par. And so it's been a healthy balance, obviously, over the years. And so I believe that this is going to keep this healthy balance moving forward. So appreciate it.
All right, thank you. And whoever pulled that graphic up on the screen, thank you. You read my mind. I was just about ready to ask for that. Engineer Peterson, that was you? All right, thank you. Councilman Villauer. Oh, sorry, Councilman Shetty took your... Any further questions or comments, Council? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the resolution. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item D is an approval of the professional services agreement for design and bidding services associated with the wastewater treatment facility and collection system, project number 2117 with HDR. For more information, we will go to our city engineer, Justin Peterson.
Yes, the agreement before you is in the amount of $3,774,342.50 with HDR for the design and bidding services associated with this project. I guess I'll stand by for questions, and Al Erickson from HDR is also online to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the agreement. Made by Councilman Bueller, seconded by Councilman Danforth. Open it up for questions or comments from the council. Councilman Villauer?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make sure I understand. We're looking at a project of $35.7 million. So that it's that plus the 3.7 million, or is that 3.7 rolled into the 35.7?
The engineering is part of that
Okay.
total.
Okay. So the resolutions which we just passed already would cover these fees as well then? Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Thank you. Councilman Danforth.
It's also my understanding, if I'm correct on this, I might have gotten the topic mixed up with a different work session, but this is a not to exceed number, correct? Wasn't it? And so over time and potential inflation or bids and, you know, estimates, this is a not to exceed number, if I recall. Was that correct? Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the professional services agreement. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item E is an approval of the borrower's resolution for the landfill cell number 7, project 2112. Justin Peterson, our city engineer, will tell us more.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a borrower's resolution, very similar to the one that we just passed for the wastewater collection, but this is for the landfill cell number 7. The city received funds in the amount of a little over $1.4 million in loans. That's in addition to the $612,000 in grants. This borrower's resolution gives you authority for the city to approve the loan agreements.
Thank you very much. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the resolution. Made by Councilman Tupper, second by Councilman Paulson. Open it up for questions and comments. Councilman Villauer?
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I'm going to direct this at our city manager. It might not be a bad idea to explain why all these projects are coming through at this time, you know, relative to the ARPA funding.
Mayor?
Please.
All right, thank you. So as everyone is likely aware, cities and counties across the country were given a certain dollar amount from the American Rescue Plan Act that passed several months ago, last year even, for infrastructure improvements. They took the lump sum of money and divided it by population and said, here you go. So the city was given $3.7 million. That's our allocation. As we were pondering and looking at what we could use those dollars for, at the time when they were allocated, they were very specific in the guidelines of what those dollars were for. The state said, if you are willing to pledge your ARPA funds towards water, wastewater infrastructure projects, we will match them. So our $3.7 million has been matched by the state by $3.7 million. So we have $7.4 million free dollars. Free-ish dollars towards these projects. Plus, then we received a grant on top of that. I can't give you that amount, and then the rest is being paid for through SRF loans. So, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Councilman Villauer, for that. Councilman Tupper.
I don't know who to direct this to. Probably City Finance Manager Kristen Bob Zine. So the surcharges on this, are they going up then also?
This loan actually does not require a surcharge after reviewing this is a separate fund, so this is the landfill. So the solid waste revenues right now are enough to cover this loan. So the user will see no increase due to this loan.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the borrower's resolution. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item F is an approval of Resolution 22-40, the plats of lots 1 and 2 of Watertown Railroad 3rd Edition to the municipality of Watertown. Justin Peterson, our city engineer, and, Brandy Hanton, who is our urban community development manager. I got that wrong at the previous meeting earlier today. So Community Development Manager Brandy Hanton will tell us more.
All right. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Is there a mouse here where I could? Thank you. So as the mayor said, this is the plat of the Watertown Railroad 3rd Edition. This is along Bogue Avenue. And it was previously platted and conveyed to the Wolford Properties LLC. And let me get down to it so you guys can see it here. Maybe. So all this plat is doing, typically this one would be done administratively, but the parent parcel was platted within 3 years, and that is a requirement that an administrative plat cannot be done within 3 years following a prior admin plat. An administrative plat is just done with staff review because it's not dedicating right-of-way. There are no infrastructure improvements. Those are the main items. And so as this property exists, they're just subdividing off 2 lots. Lot 2, there is an existing 12-plex that received a building permit in 2021. And then Lot 1 is going to be conveyed for a parking lot for LATC because there are, as you can see, it has a lot of easements on utilizing the property or making the property unusable, or there's no buildable space. So that is why it's before council, is because of the stipulation of that this plat was recorded in 2020, not meeting the 3-year requirement. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Thank you very much. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the resolution. Made by Councilman Bueller, seconded by Councilman Villauer. I will open it up now for comments or questions from the council. Councilman Villauer?
Thank you, Mayor. I know that, just to point out, the Planning Commission did approve this unanimously at their recent meeting. I know that development has caused some concerns from the neighborhood up there. Have you heard anything, or what kind of communication, if any, was needed to be made relative to this? Or have you heard anything, Brandy, recently from the neighborhood about the development up there?
Yes, so we were in contact with the property owners, letting them know that for the grading activity that was happening, that they needed to obtain a grading permit, which I believe maybe Marcy or Justin, have they submitted for that?
They have a grading permit for the work that they're doing now, specifically for their next building
The
project
second
they have.
phase. Okay. So we are actively working with them. Marcy was in touch with the property owner last week, so we will get that taken care of to make sure that, any just that the erosion sediment control is being taken care of, if they're doing any topsoil stripping and whatnot. So it's an ongoing project.
Okay. Thank you.
But we will stay on it.
Councilman Bueller.
Thanks, Brandy. What is the timeline for the parking lot? Do we know what that is, when they intend to build that?
So they received a conditional use in early July for being able to, because this property is zoned R3 multifamily residential, so they have to receive a conditional use from the Board of Adjustment, and I believe that all of these parking lot projects were going to be completed within the year.
Thank you.
So there were 4 parking lots that or 4 properties that received a conditional use for just having the parking lot use.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the resolution. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item G is the first reading of an ordinance amending to the zoning designation for Lot 1 and Outlot A, Block 5 of Harmony Hill, 3rd Edition, from A1 to R3 Multifamily Residential District. For more information, it looks like we might be going back to our Community Development Manager,
Yes.
Brandy Hanton.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So, as it was explained, this is a rezone for a small portion of the Harmony Hill subdivision. This will be Harmony Hill 3rd Edition. To give you guys a little proximity of where this is in regards to what is currently being developed in their phase 1. So this orange area is the phase 1. This blue area will be phase 2, but this is actually just the portion that we are looking at rezoning today. Currently, it is zoned A1 Agricultural District. That's what we've been having them bring this property in as they're annexing and zoning, which you might recall that just came forward a couple months ago. that we brought in this additional 35 acres because with this next phase, they will be extending Challenger Way, so that was pivotal to be annexed and zoned. And then that will be all of those infrastructure improvements that are related to this rezone will be outlined in the development agreement that'll come forth with the plat at the next council meeting. And then that's when the second reading of this rezoning will take place as well. So they're going from agricultural to R3 multifamily residential. And that is in conformance with the approved concept plan. So I'll stand by for any questions.
Thank you. This is a first reading, so no need for a motion. Just open it up for questions and comments from the council. All right, thank you much.
Yes,
We'll
thank
see
you.
this back soon. Item H is an approval of insurance policies and authorization for payment for premiums for general liability, auto liability, and physical damage, law enforcement liability, buildings and contents, equipment, property damage, and equipment breakdown, coverage and authorization for the finance officer to issue a special check. Longest agenda item of the night, at least in title, goes to our finance officer, Bob Zine, to explain.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, it is that time of year again to look at our insurance coverage. Before the council is the approval for the insurance, all the liability. We're looking at about a 5.4% increase compared to 2021. In the handout, you can see the breakdown between the city and utilities. Numbers have been given to utilities as well, and they are in agreement with their numbers. So if there's any specific questions, I can answer them, but I can go over just a few things that did adjust the premium. We always do see a 3% increase on our buildings and contents. That's kind of South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance. That's their standard. We also added our zoo animal care facility at about 1.6 million. And then the new wastewater admin building was added to insurance for just under $5 million. So those are some pretty big buildings that were added. Otherwise, I felt comfortable with the premium. And if there's any questions, I can try to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the policies. Motion made by Councilman Tupper, seconded by Councilman Schutte. Open it up for questions and comments. Councilman Vilhauer.
Thank you, Mayor. Finance Officer Bob Zina, I see the utilities is still on board with this. I mean, I know there had been some discussion in the past about them possibly breaking away and doing their own thing as far as insurance coverage, but that did not happen. Is that the
Nope,
case?
and I did not hear anything in regards to that this year.
Okay,
So they did
okay.
have an opportunity to review it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the policies. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item I is an approval of a Sourcewell bid for a new Peterbilt dump truck from Sanitation Products in the amount of roughly $200,000. Authorized $40,000 to be allocated to the city's contingency fund. For more information, are we going to Street Superintendent Rob Bainan?
Thank you, Mayor. As the mayor said, we're asking for approval of a Peterbilt dump truck via Sourcewell bid through Sanitation Products for $202,431. Little background on this. As you guys probably know, it's a little hard to get equipment right now due to several shortages, but our original budget for this year for a truck was $145,000. Through working with Sanitation Products and actually Northern Truck as well, checked with them as well. Sanitation Products does have access to another Peterbilt truck that we can get soon. They actually have the truck chassis. They need to order the box and parts if this is approved. But we do, out of that $145,000 that we had budgeted, we had a couple overruns on skid steer attachments and roller trailer, which is a remaining balance of $137,000. And through our budget lines, we actually have batwing mower we're able to push back and a little surplus from our pickup purchase. which comes to $27,000. And the $137,000 plus the $27,000 leaves $164,000 towards this truck that we could use. I'm asking for $40,000 out of the contingency fund to go towards this truck, and your approval of this would be much appreciated.
Thank you very much. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the bid. Motion made by Councilman Schutte, seconded by Councilman Paulson. I will open it up for questions and comments. Councilman Schutte.
Thank you, Mayor. So just a quick question on the types of dump trucks. Are there many different variables, but stainless versus something that's metal that you paint? You know, which one is this going to be? What type of
This would
dump
be
truck
a
is this?
stainless steel box. We do have, most of our fleet has mild steel boxes that are painted. We just, in the last, it's been probably a year ago, we had several truck boxes painted, and there's quite a bit of expense to that, $2,000 to $3,000 per truck box to have them painted. So what I'm trying to do, what I've been doing on the new trucks we've been speccing, is just ordering them with stainless steel boxes. So the life of the truck that we have them, it's no maintenance.
Yeah, one follow-up.
Follow-up.
And I appreciate you sharing that, because I do believe just to have proper equipment, if it's within the budget, I appreciate your desire to look into the stainless perspective just for longevity and go in that direction. Thank you.
Hey, Councilman Villauer.
Thank you, Mayor. Question for Finance Officer Bob Zane. Contingency Fund, we have not, what do we budget, 300,000 for that? And we have not used any part of that so far this year?
No, we have.
We have.
Yep. Just about 7,500, so there's still about
Oh.
292 in the.
Okay, sounds good. Thank
Yep.
you.
Any further questions or comments? Councilman Danforth.
Are we aware of anything else that's going to put demand on that fund?
I am not. Everything that we've talked to prior to this is going to come before the council as an actual budget supplement. So the one thing that's nice about the contingency is you'll see it at the next one. It's a one-time approval. Some of the other things that we have talked about will come through more as a budget supplement. So everything up until this point has been discussed and approved by the council. But the one thing that we tend to use the contingency for is towards the end of the year, if that snow removal budget gets a little bit close. I do like to leave a little bit of that on the table, because if at that last meeting in December, if I have to, so we make our budget requirements, I can have that available. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further, Councilman Bueller.
Thank you, Mayor. Rob, just a quick question for you. Are we going to share this with any of the other departments, this truck?
I wasn't, I mean, if they need trucks, well, we do actually share with other departments quite a bit. Generally, we don't give them the brand new stuff. But yeah, like Mike needed a loader the last few months. We left a loader out there for him for probably 2 months to use until he got his other one back. So we do share equipment. Actually, right now we are sharing a trailer. Park and Rec is borrowing us a trailer, and we've had it for all summer. So,
Thanks.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, the motion is to buy the city a dump truck. All those in favor of doing that, please say aye. 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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
thank you guys.
Item J is an approval of a lease agreement for the old airport terminal building and defined adjacent land areas with the Watertown School District, doing business as the Lake Area Technical College, in the amount of roughly $40,000. For more information, we will go to our city attorney, Matt Roby, for more.
Thank you, Mayor. As the title described, this is a lease agreement, and I believe the airport manager was maybe going to speak to this. I was unprepared as well because of, I believe this was the Public Works Director's item, but they're paying $4 per square foot per year for the terminal building space. This would be Lake Area Technical College, so the school district, of course, is the overarching entity. This would be an annual rent of $29,564. They would have the use of, but not pay rent for the parking area immediately adjacent to the terminal. And they would pay 17 cents per square foot per year for the ramp space, so it equals a total annual rent there of $10,710. In sum, it's a roughly $40,000 annual payment. Within that 5-year term, there may come a time where they determine that the building is no longer useful for them, and they would have the option at that time to sort of demolish the building. And at that time, we would, there's language in this lease that would require us to negotiate with them for a long-term ground lease. And then they would build a new building on that property, or likely on that property, for their long-term use. Okay.
Airport Manager Cyrus, do you have anything to add?
No, the mayor or the attorney covered pretty much everything. It's a lease that they're taking over everything. That's why it's a little bit less than the square footage. They're covering all utilities, all the roof repairs, all the repairs of the building. So we kind of negotiate a little bit for that. And when it's all said and done, they're gonna.
Make sure your microphone is on.
Oh.
Thank you.
Instead of us paying for the demolish, they're going to demolish the building as well. So, all said and done, 3 to 5 years, they should be able to tear it down and build a brand new schoolhouse for their aviation program.
Thank you. Councilman Tupper.
Did I catch that right, that they're going to be,
Go ahead.
they're going to be responsible for all maintenance of the building as far as, if it needs any repairs or anything in that meantime? Okay.
Okay. I never did get a motion. Chair will entertain a motion to approve the lease agreement. Made by Councilman Villauer, second by Councilman Tupper. Now, questions and comments. Sorry about that. Councilman Danforth?
What was the original plan for this building when we approved the new terminal to be built? There was obviously some notion as to what was going to happen to this.
To my knowledge, the original plan was going to be demolition when it was all said and done.
City Attorney, or Attorney Roby?
Or mayor. Whatever.
Yeah. Mayor Roby, in your future?
There was one once, back in the 60s, yeah. I honestly think that the discussion with Lake Area began early on in the discussion about the new terminal. I think it's been a 2 to 3 year discussion with them that previous airport manager had been having on an ongoing basis.
And I would say I know some of that even predates my time on the council, but when I was airport liaison for a while, I know that was kind of always the expectation, that LATC, because they had expressed an interest and we had no use for it. So, Councilman Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I know that this had been pulled from a previous agenda, where I'm assuming that all those issues were taken care of.
Yes, everything's been taken care of.
Councilman Villauer.
Thank you, Mayor. And just to follow up to that question, this does come before us with airport board approval at their meeting last week.
Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, the motion is to approve the agreement. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Pretty sure we still had a majority there. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item K is an approval to reject. City Attorney Roby, did you have anything to add?
I was just, before you voted there, my mic wasn't working or something. I was just going to put on the record, the $4 per square foot lease rate is, just for the record, is lower than our normal exclusive space lease rate at the airport. And the reason for that is because they're taking all responsibility for maintenance of the building. So it was a negotiated lease rate. Normally we charge $10 a square foot.
Thank you. Item K is an approval to reject all bids for the renovation and addition for the new City Hall and authorize staff to negotiate a contract price with the low bidder, Gray Construction Company. For more information, we will go to our city engineer, Justin Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor. On June 19th, we received one bid for the renovation addition for the new City Hall from Gray Construction, and there was also a bid for the asbestos abatement from Horsley. Let me get the name here. Horsley Specialties. In association with the renovation work. The estimated construction costs were estimated at $3.5 million for the base bid and 4 alternates. The bids came in higher than expected. For the base bid and all 4 alternates, the total came to $5.8 million. The staff had several conversations with the architect and with several different options, and ultimately the motion in front of the council tonight is to reject all bids and to negotiate with the low bidder the contract price. We had a lot of different discussions, and we feel there's probably about $1.4 million in potential adjustments to the cost, and then there'd be a need for the council to appropriate another $1 million in funds. With that, I'll stand by for questions.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion to reject all bids, made by Councilman Tupper, seconded by Councilman Danforth. Excuse me. I will open it up for questions and comments. Councilman Paulson?
Like I did in the work session, I do want to thank TSP for their hard work on this. Our work session for something else, but I do want to tell TSP thanks for all their hard work. I know a lot has gone into this. This has been a multi-year project. Unfortunately, we're to this point that I think we're all in agreement that this is the most appropriate action, is to reject these bids. Obviously, for obvious reason, for being so far over our budget. I do, just some of my own feelings is that I would caution moving forward with eliminating so many different things and still moving forward with the project. So I guess we'll see where the negotiations end up.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, the motion is to reject all bids. All those in favor of doing so, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We're on to old business. Is there any old business from the council? Councilman Bueller.
Thank you, Mayor. We've had discussions in the past in regards to forester in our forestry department, and I'm just curious as to where we're at with hiring of a new forester and where we're at for staffing our grapple truck, if someone could answer that question for me.
City Manager Mack.
The discussion around hiring an additional forester employee happened during the budget conversations for the current fiscal year. We did not include that position in this current fiscal year. I do believe it was requested for 2023. So that's where we're at with it.
Do we know where we're at with staffing and utilization of our
We have three
grapple truck?
We have 3 full-time forester employees. Our forester, John Livermore, actually Friday was his last day. He and his family are moving back to Iowa. So we have a vacancy to fill there, but full-time we have 3 positions.
And do we know what kind of utilization we're getting for that truck now?
I couldn't give you a percentage, no. I think they operate it as often as they can when they have the appropriate staffing available.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any further old business? Any new business? Any liaison member reports? Councilman Vilhauer?
Thank you, Mayor. As long as Mr. Cyrus is here, our airport manager, just a few things from the airport board meeting. If I'm incorrect, you can correct me. Obviously, first flights out and in took place last week and are ongoing, hopefully going well. If you want to take it away, go ahead, Rob.
Our first flight was actually last week on Wednesday, August 10th. It flew out, no problems. The only hiccup we had is our jet bridge. We're missing an adapter for the new aircraft we have, so we're getting that on order, and hopefully it is here next week for our grand opening.
Okay. And so, yes, 26 is our grand open ribbon cutting at what, 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock it all starts. 3 o'clock is actually the air cannons when the Denver Air Connection jet comes in. We'll do an air cannon at 3, then we'll go from there.
And the next day, the 27th on Saturday, is the flights and bikes. public event, so put a plug in for that. Just a few numbers. July boardings, if I got my notes right, we had 1,657 emplanements in July, which through July then we've had about 9,800 emplanements, which we're still on pace to almost reach where we were last year, which was a record, and that was with 2 airlines serving us. And that's in spite of, this is rather harsh news actually. Industry is facing a lot of challenges right now with fuel costs doing what they are, severe pilot shortage across the country, especially for smaller airlines. So we're fighting some tough headwinds out there. And also these numbers, good news, bad news. Numbers look good, but we're still losing about 80% of our market out of this area is utilizing a different airport than Watertown. So if we can start capturing a little bit more than that, which our consultant that we engaged here a couple months ago is working on that along with our staff and board, if we can capture some more of that leakage, that bodes well for us going forward.
Thank you very much. Any other liaison member reports? I have one just real quick. As I'm on the Convention and Visitors Bureau, I think it was already made public and most everyone knows, but the director of the CVB, Catherine Danforth, resigned recently to take another option. I think the unwritten part of what she didn't say is she had difficulty dealing with a certain councilman who may or may not be related. No.
Bueller is pretty far-reaching.
No, I wanted to thank Catherine for her time. As the best testimony that you can say to anyone is you left it better than what you found it. And that's not to say anything against the people before you. It's just you did a good job. You will be missed. Thank you for your time there. Any other liaison member reports? Any announcements? City Manager Mack.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I would like to inform you we will have a special meeting on Monday, August 22nd at noon. There's some platting things that need to be dealt with in a timely manner for grant applications for the Harmony Hill project. We may have some additional items related to some of our capital projects at that time. We're unsure, but we'll get the agenda out on time. Secondly, the rodeo was last weekend, and quite a bit of conversation amongst this body about that, and by all accounts it was well attended, a great event, and they're looking forward to bringing it back again next year. And then lastly, we are, as I mentioned, in our budgeting process. All of the departments have submitted their budgets, and Chris and I are spending some time diving into that. But I wanted to put a couple of dates on your calendar. So September 12th, which is the second Monday of September, we have a work session scheduled. At that time, we'll discuss outside agency requests. So those organizations that submit requests to us, we'll have a discussion so you can give us guidance on how you'd like us to plug that into the budget. And then on September 14th, I can't remember the time, is when we will hold our CIP hearing. We're going to change it up a little bit. We'd like to get input on the CIP and those big capital projects and capital expenditures before we bring the entire budget. I think it makes for a more complete budget and for more bigger picture, comprehensive conversations. The budget hearing will be held October. It's all running together at this point. I think a little up in the air, but middle of October is when we'll plan to do the actual budget hearing. So, of course, we'll send those dates out formally to you, but just if you want to get them on your calendar now. So that's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilman Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to give a small update on Highway 212. I know people have been patiently waiting, but we will open up the new, from 11th West, the traffic here this week. So there will be some transitions there, but I know that's exciting news. There will be full road access other than where we're working, obviously, but they'll be able to travel east and west along the whole highway. So please use caution. Please use caution still, but it will be open, and I think it's perfect timing with school starting. So
thank you very much. Yeah, actually, that's just mentioning that. City Manager Mack and I were joking that both of us have been receiving some phone calls from constituents saying how difficult it is to get from one end of town to the other because we have so many road construction projects going on. And we just wanted to point out that that's a good thing. Just for a long time, the argument would have been that there are too few. So we're getting them there. We're getting them done. So thank you very much for that. Any further announcements? Yeah. Yep. No further announcements. There is a need to go into executive session to discuss contractual responsibilities and or contractual negotiations. We do not intend on taking any action afterwards. So with that, I will declare us into executive session and we will adjourn after we come out of it. But thank you very much for being here tonight. And just because no one else is going to watch. Oh, need a motion to go into executive session. Okay. Councilman Bueller. Anyone else? Councilman Tupper, any discussion on that? Hearing none, the motion is to go into executive session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. So I'll say good night and God bless you, Watertown, for everyone stopping to watch, and